Hey all my dudes, how you doing? I hope you're having a damn good day. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Southampton's tactics against, what was it, Sheffield Wednesday, I think. So we're going to be going over the Russell Martin tactics. Now, keep in mind, I've only watched one game, and it wasn't even like, I wasn't like superly focused in on everything that was happening, all the interchanging plays. I can only tell you what I saw and go from there, you know? So if I have got this horribly wrong, let me know down below in the comments, or let me know ways to improve the tactics going forward. I would absolutely appreciate that. But we are going to go through the team. Of course, he did start a fairly young team, and there were some cool things that he did implement in this team that did make them a bit more exciting compared to what we saw last season from Southampton. So he started Edozie on the left wing, Armstrong up front, Teller as the right winger, Smallbone, James Ward-Prowse as a number 6. That was fantastic to see. He starts Alcaraz in midfield, Manning, of course, new signing, Stevens, Bednarak, as well as Kyle Walker-Peters, who I thought he would leave, along with James Ward-Prowse and like a few others. Bazunu starts in goal, fantastic goalkeeper to be honest. I really rate this kid. Then Adams came off the bench, Sulemana, Armstrong again, Aribo, McCarthy, Better Kochap, rate him as well, and then Pero, who I also rate. That there's a lot of these players who I really do enjoy watching play, and are very exciting prospects to go forward with Southampton. So they are building a team that may have been kicked out of the Premier League last season, but they are building a very strong team with some really good young core pieces, if they can keep those pieces together. And then in the reserves, they've got a few players here, Jenepo being one, Lianco being another, Mara I rate as well, Lavia apparently is leaving. We don't know if he's going to Liverpool yet, or he could end up at Chelsea depending on what happens with the Caicedo deal. But yes, this is more or less the team that was played the other day. So you know what, I'm going to give it my best crack, and you guys will let me know if you approve or not. So smash that thumbs up button. If you smash the thumbs up button, I will know if you guys approve. If you don't, well, I'll try again. But look, just looking at the formation, of course, it's just a standard 4-3-3 or holding 4-3-3. Of course, you've got a DM, 2 midfielders, 2 wingers, 1 striker, 2 centre backs, and 2 full backs, as well as a goalkeeper, of course. So talking about tactics, of course, Russell Martin likes to implement a press. So of course, you'll see the likes of Alcaraz push up a lot higher, almost creating a 4-4-2 formation. So he'll help press that back line, hurrying them up a lot more in order for them to create mistakes for themselves, and of course then for Southampton to capitalise on those mistakes moving forward. But I really did enjoy watching that front four almost just press the life out of Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't know if it will be implemented when they play the bigger teams, maybe like a Leeds or, you know, a Stoke, or, you know, somebody who's really good. I don't know if Russell Martin would be that aggressive with it. He might, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. But what I saw on the other day, and he said on Wednesday, against Sheffield Wednesday, but from what I saw from that game, there was a nice solid press, front four pressing up, James Ward-Prowse and Smallbone were also there in the midfield being very active, trying to cut out passing lanes and whatnot. So it was a very successful press. As for the width, he likes to try and keep it very narrow, so it's a very like compact unit going forward to try and press the life out of the opposition, causing the opposition to try and pass around them. So the centre-backs will look to pass to the full-backs, work the ball around. The midfield, of course, and try fire crosses into the box, for which you will have big, strong centre-backs in the likes of Better Kochap, Stevens, Bednarak, of course, Lianco, who are all very capable of being super aerially dominant and winning those balls. Of course, there was a very high line played in that game against Sheffield Wednesday where they just literally sat on the halfway line at times, had the ball 80% of the game, possession was incredibly high, and that did help with the press, of course, the counter press, but as well as retaining possession. The incredibly high line was immaculate to see, and I was very impressed because Stevens and Bednarak, they're not, you wouldn't associate them with a very like in-depth tactical high press, because they are quite slow to be, if I'm being brutally honest. So they did fairly well. But of course, you've also got Gavin Bazunu behind them, who is a very good sweeper keeper who can mop up if anything does go wrong. As for the build-up play, a slow build-up, of course, this was a very possession-based style of football. We saw them, I can't remember the exact stat at the end of the game, but they had like well over 70% possession against Sheffield Wednesday. And again, I don't know if it was because Wednesday were, I don't want to be rude, but a lesser team, essentially, like they weren't the strongest team. So I don't know if we might see him become a bit more tactically sound, a bit more pragmatic against the Stokes or the Leeds Uniteds, or maybe even the Leicester Cities, of course, who will look to try and impose themselves on the game. So this is just a very small sample that I took in order to create these tactics. But again, very, very great. Obviously, playing the ball out from the back, Bazunu is very capable of doing so, as well as the likes of James Ward-Prowse playing as a 6. And I think that's more or less why he is going to be a 6 from now on, if he does obviously stay at Southampton, because you need a very technical player in that role for Russell Martin's team to succeed going forward. And of course, we've seen the qualities of James Ward-Prowse in the past. So you know what, it works out quite well. As for the width, it's set to a 60, which is a nice happy medium. Of course, with the tactics going forward, you will see soon enough, but your wingers do tend to hug the touchlines, while your fullbacks do tend to invert quite nicely, joining up with the midfield. And the width set to 60 does create like a nice, happiness around the squad, where it doesn't force your fullbacks to bomb on and overlap and hug the touchline as well. So 60 is a great happy medium, like I keep saying. As for players in the box, it is set to 7. You don't want to overcommit, but at the same time, you do want to try and get as many players in the box. Essentially being Alcaraz, he is more or less going to be like a hybrid midfielder / second striker. You do want him playing more or less on the shoulder of whoever your striker is. In this case, it was Armstrong against Wednesday. So you do want him getting in the box, and you can do that by setting it to 7. As for corners and free kicks, it is consistently set to 4. So starting off with the instructions, of course, Gavin Bazunu, he is set to come for crosses. Of course, you want it to be aerially dominant, collecting the corners or the crosses that get fired into the box, but at the same time, you do want him to be a sweeper keeper. And we saw last season in the Premier League, although they did concede a shit ton of goals, he was a fairly adequate keeper with the ball at his feet, being able to find passes, stretch play from back to front as quick as possible, hit the outlet ball, of course. So he was a very capable goalkeeper. But of course, with the Russell Martin system, with the very high line, you do need a very capable sweeper keeper. And that's why I think Bazunu will definitely outrightly be the number 1 going forward, over McCarthy, of course. So yes, of course, these are his instructions to get the best out of him in this system. As for your 2 centre-backs, they are set to the base set of instructions. Nothing, special about that. Now, the thing is here, with the fullbacks, both of them have the same set of instructions. Both of them are set to join the attack and invert. You want them to invert, joining up with the midfield, linking up with James Ward-Prowse, creating more. There's a platform in order for Small Bone and Alcaraz to build on forward. And of course, the inverting of the fullbacks allows Alcaraz to more or less push up a lot higher and not have to worry about too many defensive responsibilities, or if runners are running behind, because in this case, Manning will be able to pick up the runner. So more or less, that's what you want. And then, of course, they are both set to step up. You want them to be as aggressive when they enter that midfield as possible. And as you can see here, Ryan Manning has the same set of instructions. Now, as for James Ward-Prowse, he is set to cut passing lanes, balanced attack, null interceptions, cover the wing, and drift wide. So when the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters does bomb on forward, he will more or less look to slide into that right back role, collecting the ball, of course, making deep-lying plays. He isn't going to be a deep-lying playmaker. You do want him to have a more tactically, defensively sound set of instructions. That's why we've gone with the drift wide, so he will be able to, more times than not, drift into that right back spot. But again, he is set to a balanced attack, which means he won't just be hanging back and waiting for, it to rain or there's flowers to flower or whatever. He's going to want to try and progress the ball forward, get forward with the ball, of course, drive into the midfield, and that then allows for Small Bone to then drop back. So he is going to be aggressive with the interceptions and trying to cut out the passing lanes without having to put aggressive interceptions on. So he will look to try and position himself and put himself in the correct passing lanes and so on in order to intercept those balls. But speaking of Small Bone, he is set to stay back while attacking, enter the box for crosses. Of course, normal interceptions are on, stick to position and then cover the wing. So he will look to more or less drop back when James Ward-Prowse does advance on forward. Which is a nice happy medium, I must say. I did enjoy seeing that. The fluidity of that midfield was fantastic. And then we've got the other midfielder, who is more or less going to be a secondary striker / forward when out of possession, I should say. They will more or less look to create a 4-4-2 formation, a nice pressing block, and it works out quite well. But in order to get that, you have him set to get forward, get into the box, aggressive interceptions, that's for the pressing, of course. Stick to position, of course, and then cover centre. So he'll be always looking to be very narrow, close to Armstrong or whoever you have as a striker, and he'll look to try and get as high up as possible when your team needs to press. When your team needs to press, I should say. Damn, I can't even speak. As for Armstrong, I know we're starting with the striker for this one, but he's set to drift wide, a mixed attack, aggressive interceptions for that press, of course, and then stay forward, so he will be your focal point. Now, of course, maybe it might change when Che Adams, I know he came on and he did score, but I didn't really see much of a difference between it. But I know Armstrong, he's not the back to the net type player with backing into the defenders and so on. He's more or less going to try and look for runs in behind, run the lanes, run the channels, making sure that his pressing game is really good. He does have a load of stamina and pace to burn. So for defensive purposes, I think that's more or less why Russell Martin did go with him, because he does have that unique ability just to run and run and run some more. So the press will be led by him as well going forward. And then we have Nathan Taylor, one of the goal scorers, of course. He is set to come back on defense, stay wide, get in behind, get into the box and normal interceptions. Now, both wingers have the same set of instructions. You do want them to be able to come back on defense and stay wide. You want them to be able to create 1v1 situations, be able to beat their man, and both these wingers can do that. Of course, most of the wingers in this team can do that. Hugging the touchline, making sure you create 1v1 situations, making sure you're creating space for your underlapping fullbacks, who are inverted, of course, to make runs into the box. But it's very much a winger-esque set of instructions, of course. Like I do repeat myself multiple times when I do give out these instructions, but it does make the most sense going forward. And of course, the ability to get in the box, create angled runs, making sure that you can find crosses for the likes of Manning and Kyle Walker-Peters to hit your I need to say defenders, your attackers, of course, in Taylor, Armstrong, and Edozie. And then speaking of Edozie, you can see right here, he does have the same set of instructions to do more or less the same things. So, like I say in the beginning of this video, like, it's one game and I didn't really like super analyze everything, but I did see some patterns of play. I did see more or less what I would do in FIFA in order to recreate that, and that is what I have produced for you right here. Now, if you could do me the biggest favor, hit that like button if you could. Of course, if you don't agree with these instructions, don't do it. Hit the thumbs down. I don't mind. It just shows me that, you know, there is some interaction happening here. But of course, until the next time, my dude, subscribe if you're new, of course. Thank you. But until the next time, I hope you have a damn great day, and I am out.